story of Cedar Man is a Lower Fraser Valley story. In the time when Hal the Transformer was around and about and transforming people for things that they did right and things that they did wrong, if it was their time. If they did wrong, then he transformed them to stone. There was one individual who, in his community, if anything happened, he was aware of it almost immediately, or he was aware that a change was going on, and he prepared himself for it. He always prepared himself. If he had to cut wood, or if he had to prepare food, or if he had to prepare other things for the community, he was prepared well in advance, so that when somebody would come to him and ask him for something, he would have it almost immediately. When his time came that he was passing on into the next world, Hal the Transformer came to him and said that you've been such a good person in your community, always giving, always being ready, always being there, that instead of transforming into the next world, what I'm going to do is transform you into the cedar tree, because the cedar tree gives all the time. And to this day, our people use every part of the cedar tree for different parts of their lives. Then they would build their homes or canoes or ceremonial masks. All of their clothing would come from the cedar tree. One of the teachings was that when you portray your people's designs, tell your people's stories, they aren't you as an individual. They come from your ancestors and they were given to you as a gift. When you use that gift, then sometimes you have to give back to the people. As an artist, I tend to know that, okay, these designs are from my ancestors. They're my gift. And as I portray them, I'm portraying them, my ancestors. I'm portraying my own people. And that's one of the teachings I look at as well. Not only Cedar Man, but the teaching of giving back to the people, but the art as well, coming from the ancestors. 10,000 years ago, there was a great flood. Our people were in huge cedar canoes, anchored to Swakis, Mount Provo, by a huge cedar rope. They were dressed in cedar capes. Everything about them was connected to cedar. Cedar is all around us. The roots are deep. They're strong. Just like our people, you can't walk anywhere on this island that our people haven't been. You can't go anywhere on this island, on this level at any rate, elevation, where cedar isn't growing. I would say to people to just find a big cedar tree or a little grove that you're comfortable with, and just go and sit under it for a couple of hours a week. And you'll start finding yourself becoming more and more rooted to your community.
You can just see it. The cedar is so special, so spiritual, and it's. I always tell the students it's worse than a jealous woman. If when you're working with cedar, if the cedar doesn't like what you're doing, you wouldn't be able to work with it. So the cedar is very special. It forces you to do what it wants you to do. So normally when I go and harvest, I try to bring a gift up, and then being very humble when I offer the gift to harvest, but to gather the cedar bark, and I talk to it just like I would to an elder. So I use it as it's a double thing for me. So it helps ground me, and it helps open that spiritual way. So once I'm connected with that cedar, it'll just flow. So like a river, like it just goes and goes. So we used everything from the forest, right from the strainers to clothing to tools that we can harvest, we can cook with, we can store our foods in. So basically we got everything from the forest. So that was very important for us. When you start to go out to the woods and to learn about that work out there, you really have to be prepared for the work that you're going to do. You have to really have that swallowing when you go out there in your mind and in your heart before you even take a piece of cedar from the tree. I believe it's a sacred process when the land offers a part of itself to help you with your life, and those are the kinds of things I think about when I'm asking that tree to give some of its skin to help our people, whoever's going to use that cedar.
When we perish, we go to the farthest sky. The Creator sends us down as a tree, a salmon, anything. A rock, salmon, or any insects. That's why we honor everything on Mother Earth, the walker, the earth walk. We honor everything. Okay. The sun is side, this side. All right. It starts to peel. It'll be way up here, So we always start from below. Okay. When I say First Nations, you're in goggles on the phone.
Look at the red.
Oh, you can feel the water. Feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Feel the water. Feel the water in there.
Beautiful. Oh, wow.
Look at that. Wow.
That cactus has held a lot of water, eh?
So you've got your hand under the bark as you're hammering?
Okay, watch it, you guys.
Yeah.
when I take anything from the land, I prepare it before I take it right out of the woods. I don't bring it home and clean it. I clean it right out there, because I strongly believe in only taking what you need. You don't take more than you have to, because you just don't do that, you know. And I have always gone out there and had in my mind and in my heart that I wasn't going to abuse the gifts that were coming from the land. So some people do that, some people don't, but that's a choice that I make. I think that is probably why the weaving has stayed with me as long as it has, because I have such a different, I don't know, a lot of weavers are like this, I guess, who respect.
But are you not leaving alone tonight?
Wow, that's a good one. You did good on your first work, eh? Which following?
Some of the students had the opportunity to collect the cedar, which was a great experience for them. And then to also, after the harvesting, then to take the bark and learn how to care for it, because they've seen examples of how people had not taken care of the bark or had not processed the bark properly. So we've had bark where they've folded it, and it gives you a good example of why not to fold it, because when you start to weave with it, then you have nothing but broken pieces. Not to roll it tight and then put it in a plastic bag, because then everything gets moldy. So I think these essential teachings, or the core teachings that were shared within this time, are beneficial for, everybody to learn.
Some of the history actually with the blankets and with the weaving is that I read it in a book actually, was that the weavers a long time ago were chosen by the older ones who was going to receive those gifts with the weaving. You weren't allowed to just go and sit and weave if you wanted to when you were growing up. It was your grandmothers that chose who was going to do it. And what it says in there is that if you were a weaver back in those days, you didn't have to do the domestic things that other women had to do, like chop wood and cook and clean up.
Pick me.
Well, my cousin said that she witnessed it with her sister who wanted to learn, and her grandma said, no, it's not for you. It's meant for somebody else. And my cousin ended up being the one to learn, and not her older sister. So that's really interesting, because it's our older people who guide and nurture us and where we're going in life. Yeah. The biggest lesson that I've learned with this work is to recognize my own emotional competence. Whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, it's showed me how to move forward from those places with the goodness and with the struggles. Shows you your struggles when you're working with your hands, and it helps you to have a better relationship with who you are, so that you can move on, you can carry on, and things are possible. My great-grandmothers, I spent a lot of time with them as a baby and as a little girl, and a lot of the teachings that came from them are probably what kind of guided me in to this path where I am today. The teachings and the way that I was raised in my family has kind of guided me to follow that cultural part of who we are. But it was quite an experience. It was an honor to work with all the ladies there, because one of the biggest things that happens for me when I facilitate a workshop is that the excitement that people get when they're getting ready to learn how to make a hat. You can see it in their eyes that they really, really have a passion for it, and I saw it in everyone that participated in this workshop. I think those are the best classes to facilitate, are the people who have that eagerness and that will to want to learn how to create. Creativity is a good thing. It really helps you to grow. Mm-hmm. The First Nations people automatically do things in a really slow manner. So when some of the ladies were trying to go really fast with their hands when they're working, I was just like, slow down, just back up a little bit. And then they would drop their hands, and I was just like, oh no, did I say that wrong? Because there's no right way or wrong way to do something. I had to kind of adjust to doing things quick, and they had to adjust to doing things slower.
Found out about some things about myself. My thoughts and my head was racing far ahead than my hands were. And so, it really took me a little bit of time to slow myself down and to just concentrate on what was in front of me. And I think that's, if I took anything away from this session, that's basically it, and not to measure my work with anyone else's, that this is something unique to me and maybe whatever skills that I have or things that I can share through songs and prayer. And I'll just leave it at that.
It really taught me a lot about how quickly you jump into your head, into your heart, and back and forth. And most of the time I'm here, and sometimes this gets on the way when I'm not here. So I try to work from this place, and that way everything will just settle down and it'll go the way it's supposed to. What happens for people when they learn about the weaving, the biggest lessons that you learn throughout that whole process when you're at that learning place is your hat will show you what you need to look at inside. It helps you recognize the different emotions that you go through when you're trying to learn. Sometimes what happens is that you get frustrated, especially when you're doing the splitting or the intertwine, or you're trying to finish the end. Those are some of the challenging parts of learning, I think, for some people. It was for me in the beginning, and you really have to be patient with yourself when you're in that learning place, because it can either make you as a weaver or it can break you. Like, you'll either get it or you won't ever want to do it again. There's just those two places that you go with it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll push yourself to achieve what it is that you're learning. You'll push yourself to achieve learning about what's happening to you. If you're getting challenged by part of the work that you're learning, it's okay to push it aside and just take a break. And it really basically teaches you about your character, I believe. It's taught me a lot about mine. It's helped me to let go of the small things and not sweat those stuff so much, and to look at the bigger picture and the opportunities that life has to offer. Those are the kinds of things that I believe happen when you're learning how to weave. I was asking my cousin, I said, do you see how quiet it is in here today? I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I said, I'm kind of scared to go around the class to ask how everybody's doing, because it shows a lot on your face and your body language and the condition of your hat on where you are emotionally. And sometimes it's, when people can recognize it, it's hard for people to accept that, yeah, this is what's going on for me today. And it's okay. Like, it's not a projection about who you are or what's happening. It's showing you something about your character, so that you can recognize yourself, what's happening, not for anybody else to judge. And I think that's the big piece that people need to understand when they're learning how to do something like that, that it's not a judgment. It's for you to recognize so that you can say, okay, this is what's happening to me here, now I know. So you'll be able to move forward from it and not feel like you're struggling or stuck or something.
Creating this amazing form and all the way having to check myself, check in with myself, because anytime I lost concentration it didn't work. So it was a really interesting journey of ups and downs and needing to stay focused and present.
I can tell when I look at a hat of mine and it starts getting too tight or too loose, and I know I need to put it down for a minute and take a break because I'm not focused. I'm more into my head than I am into my heart, so I'll just put it aside and I'll go for a walk or, just take a break. And you have to do that because when you're working with your hands, it's like you're in your emotion, you're in your heart all that time. So you have to give that a break.
So I felt lots of things. I felt happy at times, I felt sad, I felt just frustrated at times with my hat. But I listened to Maria and I asked the Cedar to help me. And every time I got frustrated, I'd just go for a walk. So I remember one morning, I think I must have went for 7 walks, just up and down the hallway. Probably every row I had to go for a walk because it was making me emotional. But at the end of it all, I learned about myself that I am an emotional person, but it's okay and that I can work through it. So when I learned that through Cedar.
I do Cedar weaving workshops in the community quite often, and everybody is always very grateful for the things that they learned throughout that process. There's quite a few weavers now in this territory, and it's growing and it's coming back and it's bringing life back into people, I believe. Has for me. I'm really blessed with the knowledge and the gifts that come with the Cedar. It's something that anybody can have if they want it. It's not something that comes with the color of your skin or, it's just something that drives you inside. Like if you want to do this kind of work, it has to come from deep down in here. Anybody can take the opportunity to learn to weave, but if it stays with them, it's up to the individual. Sometimes it doesn't, and it's up to the individual whether or not they keep the gifts with the craft.
So yeah, I learned so much, and now that I know about Cedar, when I go for walks now, I've never had a relationship with nature before, and now that I can recognize one tree, it's like opened up my whole eyes to the forest now, and I have a deeper respect. I go for a walk every night now, which I never used to, and I can pick out cedar trees, and I don't know, it's been a life-changing experience. I know why they call it the tree of life, because it does something to your life.
Think about the fun I've had with it, the fun I've had with the people, learning. And I've been on many tribal journeys, so I look at the experience of, the joy and happiness somebody will have to have a cedar hat, because I've seen many people on the water without cedar hats or without a hat to paddle with. And yeah, there's a piece missing. So it'd be nice to see the canoe go out with the actual cedar hat.
To participate in all these cultural things and with these beautiful people, and just to work with them and all this week with the workshop has just been amazing. And to meet all these new people, and I mean, they're people that we see every day but don't get to interact with.
I'm grateful for this week to have this experience, this opportunity that I don't think has happened before, and then to have a piece of that carry on for however long, it could be even generations. Apparently Cedar lasts a very, very long time.
The energy that you carry when you make that hat, it goes into the hat. And I didn't want the person who gets my hat to have this sad, stressed out energy. So I made sure to take care of myself. I ate breakfast, which I don't normally do. I slept properly, and and I took a rest when I couldn't handle it. Like one day I left early because I was done. So if anything, I was inspired, and I'm just honored that my hat's gonna go with somebody on a journey. I think it's awesome. It's a really cool feeling.